recognize that we can never be separate from that power that we call God or Spirit, the absolute, the universal, for it truly is in residence within each and every one of us. It is our greater self. It is our deeper love. It is our higher intelligence. It is our soul, the personification of it. And each one of us is here to reveal all that that beautiful beingness is as us and collectively as humanity. We know that the Center for Spiritual Living right here in this community is a light, is a resource for those seeking answers, seeking truth, seeking something that heals the heart and stimulates the mind. We offer that teaching unstintingly with great joy and love. And we know that our consciousness here today is a field like a matrix that contains all who are here and all who are not here and all who shall ever be here, spilling out through these walls into the community as an energy, as a light, as a balm, a blessing. And so we begin today from that shared vision that we are the place to be. And we begin this morning in cheerful expectancy of a beautiful time together, in gratitude for the Spirit, for the truth, for all who have come before us that brought us to this moment. We let it be, beginning now, and so it is. Kristen.
Some say love, it is a river that drowns the tender reed. Some say love, it is a razor that leads your soul to bleed. Some say love, it is a hunger, an endless aching need. But I say love, it is a flower, and you, its only seed. It's the heart afraid of breaking that never learns to dance, and the dream afraid of waking that never takes a chance. It's the one who won't be taken, that never learns to give. And the soul afraid of dying, that never learns to live. So when the night has been too lonely and the road has been too long, Just remember in the winter, far beneath the bitter snow, lies a seed that with the sun's love in the spring becomes the rose.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kristen. What a beautiful sentiment in that song, right? It's a good lesson. Sometimes the thing we think is the worst thing that ever happened turns out to be the most significant thing. A turning point of some kind, something that our soul brought forth without our awareness, but it came from the depths of us because there's a part of us that always wants to express greater wholeness. It's the big part of us that we often ignore. It has so much to do with our perception. So today I'm talking about perception. You know the old saying, can't see the forest for the trees? Which one do you see first? The forest or the trees? It says a lot about your perception. If you see the forest, you might be a big picture kind of thinker, someone who's very non-local, philosophical, interested in ideas, big ideas. If you see the trees first, you may be more local, more interested in the realm of form and experience and relationships. A forest kind of person, well, let's say he or she is the breadwinner for a family. They may be so focused on providing for the future that they miss the joy of being with the family. Now, in my generation, a lot of us had fathers like that we rarely saw. They were always working or somewhere putting together the next big deal. And even when they were in the house, they weren't really part of the family. They were hiding behind the newspaper, and we were all told just to be quiet. It wasn't unusual. Conversely, the tree person, who is primarily in charge of the minutia of daily life, the dental appointments and the homework and taking the dog to the vet and getting the oil changed in the car and grocery shopping and cooking and cleaning, that person may be missing the bigger experience, that this little family unit is a part of something, that these children are not just kids, they're the future, that we are all a part of the evolution of humanity. I think we had mothers like that in my generation that missed that point. It's just a perception, and it doesn't mean one's right and one's wrong. But the fun starts when we can see both at once, when we can see them at the same time. That's largely what this teaching's about, when you really think about it. We're always talking about the realm of spirit and the universal consciousness and our personal experience of it. It's a both-and kind of situation. Because the big picture contains, or the forest contains the trees. But the trees create the forest, you see. Just as cause is in the effect. How many of you have ever been, well, I know you've all been to some art museum where you saw a painting that just took your breath away? Maybe it was Van Gogh or any of the Impressionists or who knows who. But when you're looking at a painting like that, you are seeing the dominant energy that is at the forefront of our being. It's the way we see ourselves. And we tend to ignore the other energy, the one that lies in the background. But it has a definite purpose too. But we're so used to the dominant one, we seldom access it. So we tend to seek in partners or friends what we are not using, what we are not expressing, and we think that balances us out. That's where that whole idea of a couple completes each other. Maybe it's an experience of energy, but, that's not actually true. When you get married, you don't become one. You become two very separate people creating the third thing, which is your relationship, right? Or the marriage. But it's rather complex, this energy, masculine energy. And I'll give you a funny example. I had a great Aunt Winnie. She was actually my father's aunt, his mother's sister. I love this woman. I admired her. Now, you got to remember, I was a child in the 40s. So here was this woman. She was a businesswoman. She was a career woman. She didn't get married till she was like 43. And she always wore these beautiful suits. And I just admired her. She was not stereotypically feminine, but she wasn't necessarily masculine. But by the norm of the day, she was considered somewhat masculine because women didn't work then. Primarily, most of our mothers never worked outside the home. And certainly not someone older than our mothers. All right, so the interesting thing is, when she did marry, she married a man who was rather feminine. And it was perfect. His name was Jimmy, Uncle Jimmy. He owned an upscale dress clothing store for women. And this was in a tiny little town in southern Kansas, southern tip of East Kansas, very, oof. And, but they would travel to New York a couple times a year to buy clothes, and they'd see the shows, and they lived a life way beyond their surroundings. And because it was this tiny little town, people whispered about them, right? But those folks who whispered were not seeing the bigger picture. They were seeing the trees, not the forest, to hammer home a metaphor. They did not see two souls entwined in a beautiful dance that brought them immeasurable happiness. They were a happy couple and living in a paradox. So spirituality is really all about being in two realities at the same time. You and I are the point where they touch. You and I are at the point where they meet. The spirit meets the flesh meets the spirit becomes the flesh partakes of the spirit, in an ongoing dance that is meant to bring us joy and prosperity and love. We could say, as a metaphor, the forest is real life, and the trees are what we have made from it. The forest is spirit. So what is real? What is real is always eternal. What is real is love, joy, peace, prosperity, vitality, intelligence, creativity. Those are real. They never die, they never dissipate. They're always present, always real. That which is unreal is temporary, illusory, changeable, such as relationships, health, supply, personal happiness. They're not unreal in the sense that they don't exist, but as Ernest Holmes says, they're as real as they need to be to give us the experience of our perception or our consciousness. So when you think about it, relationships, supply, whether your business, everything, are made out of, this is important, our concept, our perception of the qualities of spirit that are real. So love becomes relationships. Vitality becomes health, or not, a use of it. Supply becomes prosperity. It can also be lack if we're perceiving that there's not enough of everything to go around. So it's only the local perception that despairs, angers, feels lonely and separate. The spirit never does, and the soul never does. And if that weren't true, you and I would never recover from anything emotional. But we do, don't we? We can be happy again after some really significant experience, yes? Sure. Have you ever been sick and got well? Of course. The vitality is still there. And we allow it to return to us. And maybe we used medical intervention, and maybe we used alternative medicine, but we participated in the calling forth what was real, the vitality that becomes personal health. Spirituality is understanding that, well, it's this wonderful statement by Emerson. It's a famous statement. You probably could say it with me. It is only the finite that has wrought and suffered. The infinite lies stretched in smiling repose. See, the real, the field, spirit, God, if you will, is untroubled, undiminished, undamaged by any worldly experience. It is us, the finite, that have wrung our hands and caused pain and suffering in the forest. We are the ones that create the lack. which is not real. It is a temporary manifestation of an incorrect idea or a small idea. That's why in our teaching we want to keep pushing the ideas out. We're going to do a visioning this morning for the center to push the ideas out beyond anything we've known before as a spiritual center. See what our heart, our soul, our spirit comes up with, because it's greater than anything we've ever experienced up until now. That's a guarantee. So spirituality is this constant dance between the two worlds. Did you see, I don't know how many of you are on Facebook, but somebody took a time-lapse picture of the sun at the same time every day for a month or something? It formed the sign of infinity. You got to check this out. Google the sun as infinity. I don't know what you'd Google. But it was, that Mobius strip where it has no beginning, no end, turns in on itself. It's what it looked like. Incredible when you think about the universe, the fractals and the mathematics and everything. It's holographic. Did you ever read that book, The Holographic Universe? I think it was written by a man named Talbot, about how, what a hologram is. If there's one little piece of it, it contains everything that's in the original picture. They say the universe is holographic, so that the cosmic is contained in the atomic. The trees are contained in the forest. The human is contained in God, Spirit, the source, the one life that's being all life, and never separate from it. Now, it's not only contained in it, but partakes of it. Partakes of it. The qualities of Spirit, what we believe are real, we are using through our choices, through the way we are in relationship, the way we are in the world, what we think about, what we believe, what we talk about. We are actually using spiritual qualities to manifest forms of those ideas. And we're doing it all the time, whether we know it or not. So this is why, Paul in the Christian tradition said, think on these things, the good, the true, and the beautiful. Makes sense, doesn't it? Why would someone say, think on these things, the horrible, the dreadful, the ugly? We all know how that feels when you go down that path, and who hasn't, right? Something happens and you're just, for a few minutes or a day, you're sunk, right? You're just right in it. But there's something in us that pulls us back out. There's something in us that's greater than all of that, and it wants to be seen and known in our life. It wants to become things through us. It wants to be our relationship. It wants to be our prosperity. And we are so involved in every day, every second manifestation of Spirit, but we forget it sometimes. Thank heavens for teachings like this, which have the tools and the techniques for keeping our mind stayed where it belongs, on possibility rather than on the past. So when we meditate, we're in the forest. The trees disappear. Have you ever, during your meditation, after you came out of it, realized you had forgotten you had a body while you were in there? It just sort of disappears. You can't really feel it. And sometimes you do, of course. You have active meditations. But in those deeper ones, it's as if you're just pure beingness with no parameters whatsoever. We're in the realm of the infinite, and that's where anything is possible, because we don't take any ideas with us. This is the greatest thing about meditation. I wish the whole world would meditate. It would change everything. I think people who meditate have a deeper sense of their own responsibility for their experience. They have a deeper sense of the positive expectations they have a right to. They're not so embattled with their mind all the time. They have a deeper sense that they're drawing from something greater than themselves. It's really important. So when we treat, and it's our 21st century prayer, it's called spiritual mind treatment. We're giving our mind a treatment of spiritual truth because the error in our thinking is causing our problem. So when we're in that, or if we're doing traditional prayer, we're in the forest. We're in the infinite. And that is why spiritual mind treatment is constructed the way it is. The first step says, take your mind to spirit. Affirm it, recognize it, declare what it is, and take the local right out of that treatment. So when we come to the center here, we're building the forest again, and we're drawing from it. It's really a both and all the time. So we live in this time-space dimension, but if we don't have an awareness and some experience of the no time, no place, then we are prone to suffering. Because suffering is when we see only the effects and we forget that cause is present. And cause means possibility and the possibility of change. Or you might say healing, if you want to use that word. So when we're not seeking cause, we are affirming the effect. And when we affirm the effect, it stays there. That's just what happens. Effects don't move themselves. They hang around until they have a new cause. Have you noticed that? They hang around. Sometimes they bring their friends, but they don't change themselves. Something has to happen within the entity that's having the effect to create a new one. So Ernest Holmes, the founder of this teaching, made something really clear when he said, God doesn't fix you or repair things or heal things. It creates a new version of wholeness at the point of your self-perception. A new version of wholeness. It's really interesting when you think about that, because if you start looking at some of the new physics, the quantum physics, exactly what it says is it isn't about, there's no time or space in God, right? So it doesn't know about the past. And the past is the effect we're having now, right? So when we pray, treat, change our mind, it responds by creating the new version of the matrix that was already there, the wholeness. So it restores our body to the image and likeness that it was intended to be. It doesn't fix it. It's a huge distinction and an important one, because half the world is caught up in praying to God to fix things rather than setting a new cause in motion. What would set a new cause in motion in this world would be human beings acting like human beings, acting like spiritual expressions of God, loving each other, caring for each other, being together with greater ideas. That would change the effects, right? But fixing the effects alone won't change cause. We have to change the cause first. So, very important. An effect is we are looking at what has been done with spirit up until now. Up until now. But it's not the end of everything. We're not seeing possibility. So the invitation for all of us is to learn more about how to think above human experience. It's not easy. It's not easy, but we have to do it. And to proclaim what is real. In the face of lack, proclaim prosperity. In the face of illness, announce your wholeness. In the face of any kind of relationship trouble, declare there is love here. Love is the driving energy of this relationship. Love seeks and finds its level in my life. We proclaim exactly what we know to be real, even if we're experiencing the temporary manifestation of it that appears unreal. It's not the full expression of it. Does that make sense? It's really cool when you think about how this all works. That's why classes are so exciting, because your mind already knows this at deep levels, and it goes, and then it goes, huh? Because, even Einstein thought quantum physics was not possible. He was so entrenched in his old way of thinking, which was very big, but it was still an old way of thinking. And when he first heard about quantum physics, he said, can't be true. That can't be true. David Bohm, the great physicist, said the same thing. I wish I'd never heard of this stuff, he said. It can't possibly be true. It's too weird. Well, that's what people say when I meet them out in the general world and we talk about what this teaching is. Oftentimes people will say to me, that can't be right. We can't have that much power, that much responsibility, that much say-so about what happens to us. But we do. We do, because this is a universe of love and intelligence and law and order. So in the face of hate, what is real is unconditional love. In the face of disease, what is real is ever-renewing vitality. See, God doesn't know about health or ill health. It knows about vitality, ever-renewing, powerful energy that takes form as a human being. So our perception dictates our experience. And so we have so much more to say about the quality of our life than we were ever taught, or that anyone ever thought possible. But the new science is agreeing with our new thought teaching in that regard. And it's a very exciting time to be a part of this teaching, because it is transformational and it is having its effects in the world. This teaching is going around the world via Oprah. You know, Oprah has become a minister without being a minister. She has Super Soul Sunday on TV. She goes around the world and does seminars. It sounds like a Sunday morning in one of our places. God bless her. Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle. I mean, the list is very long. When I first came into this teaching in 1975, the list was very short. We didn't even have any books in the bookstores, like Barnes & Noble and Borders and all those guys. There were no books about us. Now it's a whole section. Huge, huge sellers everywhere, because this is ideas whose time has come. This is the way for human beings. It truly is, to understand that we create this forest together by how we see ourselves. So there's something behind all manifestation that causes it by responding to ideas given into it, and our ideas are the seeds of the trees that create our shared experience. So each and every one of us is really important. We need to look in the mirror and say, God, you're great. I bet you didn't do that this morning. Look in the mirror and say, I love you. Look in the mirror and say, I'm an expression of spirit. I'm a personification of God. I'm here for a reason. You know, the great Gene Houston says we're all here as bodhisattvas, that we all incarnated at the time we did for this moment in human evolution, to push it in a direction of inclusivity and love and joy and prosperity. We're all here for that reason. So each one of us does our part by how we treat ourselves and how we are with each other. So let's take this within. You want to play a little something behind me? And if anybody's experiencing anything right now that's a challenge to you health-wise, I'll start with that. And then we'll do something about supply and relationships, because we all deserve great lives. And we're all the intention of Spirit revealed. So knowing this, we give ourselves over to the paradox. We let ourselves see spirit life as one something. We let ourselves perceive that the word God refers to something almost beyond comprehension. That we see it everywhere throughout the universe, in the galaxies and the planets and the suns, and everything that is so interlocked, so interdependent. It is one beautiful system of love and intelligence. So knowing that we can never be separate from it, is it such a big leap to think differently about ourselves? Or are we still thinking of me and Spirit, me and God, rather than God as I am? God is the I am within us, that we proclaim every time we add anything onto it. Are we proclaiming our truth? So if you're facing a health challenge right now, know this for yourself. My body, my mind, everything about my physical, it is an activity of conscious light. And that light knows exactly how to present itself as physical form in radiant expression, which we call health. We proclaim today that the mind is never lost, and no aspect of it is ever lost. It is always a personification of the mind of spirit, that pure intelligence, that absolute knowing. It never forgets anything. For it is always present in this now moment, and what it needs to know, it knows. Know this for yourself. I know, and I know that I know. And whatever it is that I need to know is presented in this moment, and this moment, and this moment. There is no lapse in my awareness. And if we are experiencing difficulty in relationships, let's just know there's only one of us here. There's just one life diversifying itself for the joy of it, for experiencing aspects of its own nature in different ways. And that self is truly in love with itself, in love with every form of itself. And we express that through our acceptance, our self-acceptance, and our acceptance of one another in our differences. We celebrate them. So isn't it wonderful how we can appear to be different and yet be the same? That's the paradox. And it's a beautiful one. And so if we're having a challenge with supply or prosperity, we have to return to the truth. There is enough of everything in this universe. It never runs out of anything because everything is made from consciousness. Everything is made from intelligence. Everything is made from perception. There is no lack of energy. The universe has an inexhaustible vault of potential. At a quantum level, it is quivering. It is alive with possibility. And it is just awaiting our call. How do we call prosperity into our life? We say, I am prosperity. I am the vehicle through which supply is made manifest in this time-space dimension as my income, as my success, as my business. And everything I do prospers everyone I meet, and everyone I meet prospers me. And the love that drives it all is the love of self as spirit expressing. And so we can let go of our parents. We can let go of our past. We can let go of ex-partners. They were all part of our experience of awakening. And we are now awake. And so let's make a new claim on this beautiful source that only wants to come through us. Let's claim our wealth, our health, our love, our joy, our peace, our stability, our happiness. It's all right here, right now, just waiting to be expressed. And so with great gratitude for this teaching, this place, each other, and what lies before us, knowing it is nothing compared to what lies within us, we set forth on a new path together to discover ever increasing good. And so we let it all begin again. We let it simply have its way with us, personalized by us, coming through us gently and easily and effortlessly. And we simply say together, and so it is. So it is.
For every loss, there is a win. For every foe, there is a friend. For every heartbreak, there's a strength you will find within. For every tear, there is a smile. And for every setback, you'll gain a mile when you can see. There's a purpose in every trial. Many ups and downs you'll find in the journey of your life, but nothing ever lasts for long. You must carry on. And in those times you're wondering why, remember where the answers lie is deep inside. Your peace of mind will always be sure when you know that wonderful you are and beautiful you are, intelligent you are. So don't you believe any different. You are a child of God with all you need to do whatever you want to do. So don't you ever forget who you are. Who you are. For every ill there is a cure. For every doubt there is a sure. For every fear you'll find the faith that you can endure. For every old there is a new. And for every gray sky you'll find a blue. When you can see that the answers are all in you. Many ups and downs you'll find in the journey of your life, but nothing ever lasts for long. You must carry on. Never live by circumstance. Every moment's a chance to change your life. Don't sacrifice what God's given you, 'cause wonderful you are and beautiful you are, intelligent you are. So don't you believe any different. You are a child of God with all you need to do whatever you want to do. So don't you ever forget that wonderful you are and beautiful you are, intelligent you are. So don't you believe any different. You are a child of God with all you need to do whatever you want to do. So don't you ever forget who you are. Yeah. Don't you forget it. Hey, yeah. For every ill there is a cure. For every doubt there is a sure. For every fear, yeah, you find the faith that you can endure. For every old there is a new. And for every gray sky you'll find a blue. And you can see the answers are all in you, yeah. Many ups and downs you'll find in the journey of your life, but nothing ever lasts for long. You must carry on. Never live by circumstance. Every moment's a chance to change your life. Don't sacrifice what God's placed in you, 'cause wonderful you are and beautiful you are, intelligent you are. So don't you believe any different. You are a child of God, yeah, with everything you need, yeah. Don't you forget it. Don't you forget it. You are a child of God and you can do whatever you want to do, yeah. 'Cause you are wonderful. Wonderful you are, beautiful you are, and intelligent you are, a child of God you are. You taking it in? Wonderful you are, beautiful you are, intelligent you, and don't you forget it.
I'm telling you, this is, we have a major talent here. Kristen, you need to get on Songland. Do you know the TV show Songland? You have got, that song right there would get you on that program. You got to watch it. They're looking for songwriters. Oh, girl. she would win that one. Let's all affirm that for her, that because she's too good to be unknown, right? Yeah. Here come our ushers, Scott and Liz. Thank you so much for serving today. Well, this is our time of conscious giving, and it's a beautiful time to share with our center. You know, the center is an idea whose time has come. It needs support. Of course, it's a business as well as a nonprofit spiritual center, but it's a place of gathering consciousness. So how we feel when we support it is important. It's important to us, important to individual self, because that energy goes somewhere. I mean, it builds and builds and builds. So let's consider, let's just hold it in your hand right now and just say this out loud. I am a very wealthy person. I always have enough to spare and share. I am grateful for my money. I am happy to give to this center. And I expect a great return. Why not? So let's say this out loud together. Divine love blesses this gift. It is circulated with love and is returned to me, pressed down and overflowing. I am a happy giver and a grateful receiver. Our center is blessed, and so are we. Thank you so much. So let's sing it.
I am so blessed. Start with I first. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so grateful for all that we have. We are so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so grateful. We are so blessed.
We really want to welcome you if it's your first time here or second time. Pick up a welcome packet. They're back in the basket on the back table. And just know that you are our welcome guest today. And we'd love to get to know you better, so we hope you'll be back a few times till you decide if this is your place or not. I don't know why it wouldn't be, but we sure are happy that you're here. We have some announcements, and I think the most important one right now is that classes are starting this week. Sharon, you want to stand up so everybody can see you? Sharon Whaley's our practitioner and an experienced teacher, by the way. She's going to be teaching a sort of a basic course called Beyond Limits. I've been looking at the curriculum. It's really good. And I'm going to be starting next week Edinburgh Lectures, which I think is essential to anyone who's truly involved in this teaching. There is a tuition. So if any of you want to take the class, but the money right now, you aren't manifesting quite what you want to be manifesting, both of us are willing to do a payment schedule and make it easy on you, because we want you to take these classes. They're really important to your own evolution. All right, so there are some registration forms on the back table, and you can hand them to Sharon for her class and me for my class. I want to bring up Janet Shaw right now. Janet, if you'll come up. Janet has been such a help to me since I've been here. Come on up. She helped me develop, she developed a flyer, but she sent it out, and this took time and it took some research, but she sent it out to an email list of people we haven't seen for a long time. And that was important. That was her idea, and thank you for doing that. She also serves in the kitchen, and in fact, the food today is you brought, right? All right. And she's been doing that for a long time. And she has just consented to be our new bookstore manager. It's going to be great with you at the helm, I know it. So we're presenting Janet with our Volunteer of the Month recognition, and it says Certificate of Appreciation to Janet Shaw for extraordinary service to our community. Volunteer of the Month, and we thank you with all our hearts. You're so special. Thank you so much. Volunteers are so important. Can you get out? You know, you can't run a nonprofit without them. It takes a village, as they say. So some other announcements. How many of you ever participated in what's called kirtan? Chanting, drumming, and all that sort of thing. We're creating a version of it that's a blend of this teaching and the Eastern with Lindsay Sharp, who's the yoga instructor who comes here every Thursday and does chair yoga. No cost for that, by the way. It's at 11 o'clock if anyone wants to join her. She's a beautiful soul. And I've gotten to know her a little bit. So we're going to participate together, and she's bringing some of her musician friends. There will be something like a harmonium. There might be a didgeridoo. There'll be some gongs, some drums, some bells. And we'll do a little chanting, and we'll do meditation, and I'll do some healing treatments. It should be a lovely experience. The first one is once a month. It's September 18th. That's a Wednesday evening at 6 o'clock. So you want to be there for that. I'm looking forward to it. This is our 70th year in Bakersfield. Jennifer, you want to stand? Jennifer's our board president, and she is heading up a team of wonderful volunteers that are going to create some great experiences for that weekend. And it'll be November 15th, 16th, and 17th.
And our first meeting is next Sunday after service, so about 12 days. So if you're interested in helping, please join us for that meeting.
Thank you. Sign up for our e-newsletter and my Living Consciously Daily message, which on the back table. Sign up for anything on the back table. Our practitioners present today are Ann Kinnett, Sharon Whaley, Portia Choi Chong, and myself. And after service, grab coffee and have a treat because Janet went to a lot of trouble to create beautiful food for us. Then come back. At 12 noon, we're going to, with the board and myself, I'm going to lead you in a real profound experience of visioning. Visioning is not brainstorming. Visioning is different, and we'll talk about more when we get to that point. So plan to stay at 12 o'clock, and it should be a really profound time for us. I'm looking forward to it. All right, that's it today. Let's stand and sing our closing song, Yes, There Is Peace on Earth.
Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it began with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our power, you inflict harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every step I take, yes, this is my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it began with me.
And let's take that to heart and know that not only does peace begin, I am love in action. And so it is. I heard you were great last week.